In this day and age, mostly everyone and every organization is using the internet and the computers in some way. Whether it be for your business or for personal use, the internet is very important to us. However, many people have not heard of ITM, or Information Technology Management. Information Technology Management is very important for businesses and individuals to learn a little bit more about the resources of our computers and how they can further increase our efficiency. Today, I will be talking about the basics of ITM. These include IoT, or the Internet of Things, what cloud computing is, your computer's hardware, as well as something called open source. Let's go straight in to the Internet of Things. The Internet of Things is any object, either human or man-made object, that is assigned a unique identifier in the form of an ISP. This ISP allows it to communicate with the outside world. What does this mean? This means that machines do not require human interaction to communicate with one another, and information can be accessed online. These machines are digitally represented on the internet. So an example of this could be if you were wanting to check on the status of a certain machine that needed to be fixed, and the machine was 50 miles away from you. Instead of having to drive to this machine and see if it was fixed or not, you could simply go on the internet and the machine would actually upload information to tell you if it was working properly. It's seen today in almost everything we do. For example, there are smart lighting street lights that turn on and turn off based on if there are people. And also, when looking at building integrity, buildings can actually tell architects and engineers whether or not they are fully working and if vibrations or anything else are causing them harm. So it helps uphold the structural integrity. So the Internet of Things not only saves time, but it could be saving lives. Let's continue on into cloud computing. Cloud computing is a look into the future. Something called the cloud, which actually is just just referring to the internet. It's extremely efficient and free. The significance of the cloud is that you can access programs and data online. You can access these from any location. If you were to save any program or information onto the cloud, you could choose to save it publicly or privately, allowing others or just you to access your information. This means that there's no reliance on the hard drive or local storage. So currently today, many people rely on their hard drive for their information and programs, which means that it can only be accessed on the certain computer, or computers that are shared locally with it. The hard drive might have information such as your documents and images, but once you go somewhere with your smartphone or tablet, or actually even another computer that is not linked with the current computer you are using, you cannot access your information. The cloud decreases the reliance to any of these things, and it allows you to access all of your information off the internet. So you can go anywhere as long as you have a secure internet connection. But all of this would not even be possible if it was not for computer hardware. Computer hardware is all the physical aspects of the computer. So there are many examples of computer hardware. There are CD, DVD drives, and hard disks, and numerous other things that you can see on the screen. However, it's important to note that there are differences in computers. There's hardware changes, and the general use of the computer makes hardware different. For example, my personal computer is much different than someone's supercomputer or gaming laptop because the computer is meant to serve a different purpose. It's important to learn about hardware updates, upgrades, and how they work and what to fix. By being familiar with your computer's personal hardware, you're able to efficiently pinpoint the problem or decide whether or not you need to update the computer. Lastly, we are going to talk about something called open source. Open source is not only this trademarked name, but it's also an attitude. And the attitude is where you collaborate and learn with one another and the ease of accessing information. So many people who do open source prescribe to this attitude of collaboration so they can learn from one another and they have free information. So what makes open source different from most programs is that open source allows programmers and individuals to look at and modify the source code. They're able to learn and adapt the code, and they can tweak it as each person sees fit. So it's increasingly easy to learn from any open source information. And you have a free license to modify the program, so there's no discrimination on who can view and change the source code. The benefits are huge. In fact, most of what we have at the internet have been made from open source. Things such as Facebook and even Gmail could not be possible with without open source, And of course, software developers benefit hugely, so they are able to go in and look at the direct source, as opposed to things that are closed source, where they do not show the direct source. Some examples of open source that you may have heard of are Linux, Tomcat, and Firefox even. It's interesting and important to note that even closed sources closed sources are basically things that are not open source. So the differentiation here is that they do not share the source code with individuals. Many closed source programs, you will never be able to see the source code. So even closed sources such as Microsoft Windows and Apple closed sources do use open source within their programming to better their product. So that is very interesting to me. In conclusion, the internet is the future and the present, and we need to learn how to use information and technology to help manage our lives. So information technology management is not only important for small and large business owners, but it's important to individuals as well. Hopefully, these brief notes on the Internet of Things, cloud computing, computer hardware, and open source have opened your eyes and your minds into the world of ITM. Thank you.